Nishamya pumsamaphavargavardhanam Diyabhinandyatmavatam satham gati Babasha smita shobhitananaham. Marajis. Maitreya Vacha Iti svamatu niravadyamipshitam Nishamya pumsam apavargavardhanam Diyabhinandyatmavatam satam gati Vabhasha isha smita shobhitananaham. Okay. Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya said, Iti, thus, Swamatuhu, of his mother, Nirvadyam, uncontaminated, Ipshitam, desire, Nishamya, after hearing, Pumsam, of people, Apavarga, cessation of bodily existence, Vardhanam, increasing, Dhya, mentally, Abhinandya, having thanked, Atmavatam, interested in self-realization, Satam, of the transcendentalists, Gatihi, the path, Babhashe, he explained, Ishat, slightly, Smitha, smiling, Shobhita, beautiful, Ananaha, his face. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, Maitreya said, after hearing of his mother's uncontaminated desire for transcendental realization, the Lord thanked her within himself for her questions. And thus, his face smiling, he explained the path of transcendentalists who are interested in self-realization. Purport. Just repeat the translation. Maitreya said, after hearing of his mother's uncontaminated desire for transcendental realization, the Lord thanked her within himself for her questions, and thus, his face smiling, he explained the path of the transcendentalists who are interested in self-realization. Purport. Devahuti has surrendered her confession of material entanglement and her desire to gain release. Her questions to Lord Kapila are very interesting for the persons who are actually trying to get liberation from material entanglement and attain the perfectional stage of human life. Unless one is interested in understanding his spiritual life or his constitutional position, and unless he also feels inconvenience in material existence, his human form of life is spoiled. One who does not care for these transcendental necessities of life and simply engages like an animal in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating has spoiled his life. Lord Kapila was very much satisfied by his mother's questions because the answer stimulates one's desire for liberation from the conditional life of material existence. Such questions are called apavarga vardhanam. Those who have actual spiritual interest are called sat or devotees. Satam prasangat. Sat means that which eternally exists. And asat means that which is not eternal. Unless one is situated on the spiritual platform, he is not sat, he is asat. The asat stands on a platform which will not exist. But anyone who stands on the spiritual platform will exist eternally. As spirit soul, everyone exists eternally, but the asat has accepted the material world as his shelter, and therefore he is full of anxiety. Asat grahan, the incompatible situation of the spirit soul who has the false idea of enjoying matter in the cause of the soul's being asat. Actually, the spirit soul is not asat. As soon as one is conscious of this fact and takes to Krishna consciousness, he becomes sat. Satam gatihi, the path of eternal. Is very interesting to person who are after liberation, and his lordship Kapila began to speak about that path. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bharshatitesha Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhupyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes to the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Mukam karoti vatsalam pango langayate girim yatripatamaham vande Shri Guru Shiti Natarinam Tavai vasmi na jivami tavai vinaiti vigya devikvam nayamam charanantikam. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this morning's Bhagavatam class. Today is also the auspicious appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Parama Guru. We'll just split between Srimad Bhagavatam and some glorification of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Can you score me a songbook? If you can get one, otherwise I can use my phone. Okay, here Maitreya is speaking to Vidura. The conversation happened between Devahuti and Lord Kapila. Lord Kapila is the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has appeared as the child of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Here, Devahuti is asking questions which are important in nature. the questions asked by Devahuti is not only benefiting just her, it's not just benefiting her, but the questions and the responses which she will receive benefits the whole mankind. The human civilization have placed themselves in something called Pavarga. Pavarga in Hindi alphabets or Sanskrit alphabets, there are various vargas. Anybody who studied Hindi? Ka varga, cha varga, pa varga. When you're young, they teach you. So the pa varga is used to explain the condition of living entities who are situated in this material world. So what is this pa varga? The pa varga goes like what? Pa, pa, bha, bha, and ma. This is the pa varga. So what these letters stand for? Pa means parishram. Parishram means hard work. To attain anything in this material world, one has to work hard. Even sometimes you see some people are born into a wealthy family or got lucky. It's not that they're exception. They have done the hard work in previous lives. So nothing comes out in this life easily. You have to do hard work in this lifetime or in previous lifetime to get any benefit. So parishram, hard work. And this hard work starts from a very young age. Yeah. From a very young age, we send the children with a bagload of books, breaking their back to the school so that they can study really hard and get a job, which parents hate anyways to do in the first place. But we are sending them. I hated school. I absolutely hated school. I didn't want to go from day one, but I was forced to. And that's lasted all my spectrum of studies from kindergarten all the way to high school. I still remember in kindergarten, I won't face the teacher, I'll be facing the door when my parents will come and get me out of here. Hated it. So that's Pavarga. I mean, it doesn't stop in student life. Then one have to become an apprentice, start learning the trade, whatever he's going to get into, and then work really hard so that he can get a good job. Then he works really hard in the good job. It never ends. It's just hard work after hard work after hard work. So that's the Pavarga. And the next one is Fa. Fa refers to feigning. Feigning means foam. When you work really hard, you start foaming in your mouth. Like you can see, I don't know if you can get to see here, but in India you can see them on the street. The bullock carts or the donkeys, the camel. They carry this heavy load. They carry this heavy load, then you can see them foaming through their mouth. The hard work, you're foaming. So that's our condition. You work really hard, to the extent, you're foaming. Like Prabhupada's commenting on this verse says that a man goes to work just eating a piece of dry bread and a cup of tea, which is pretty much the breakfast everyone has nowadays. A piece of toast and a cup of tea or a coffee to go to work. That's what happened now. At least in my days, you used to have freshly made idlis every day, some upma or pongal. Nowadays, people ask, what are these dishes? The kids never even heard of them. They all they eat is some toast or some cereal, and they're out working hard. So that's foaming, getting foam. And the next verse is pa, pa, and bha. Bha refers to vyasta. Vyasta means futile. in spite of all this hard work, the effort what you put in is futile. Yeah. There's no guarantee. All the hard work will pay off. A person might go to school, studies, like two people can go to the same school, study the same thing, then go to university, study the same thing, and one becomes rich, and the other struggles to even break even. Same education system, same hard work, even sometimes same marks, and then people still struggle. So there is no guarantee. There is no guarantee. The effort is vyasta. It's useless. And even if you manage, out of the cream, out of them, some get the good job or get good income, it doesn't last. Either you have to retire, or there's always somebody who is better than you, takes your job. And worst case scenario, you die. And all the qualifications, hard work, gone. So all this hard work is futile. And through this hard work, whatever you gain, those objects of senses, sense gratification, they are also futile because they give happiness only for a small time. You work hard, you buy a property, and sometimes the property price goes down, and sometimes the property price really goes up. Or you end up buying a property in a flood-affected area, overnight, your property is gone. So the material nature doesn't let you enjoy whatever you work hard to gain. It's taken away. So it's futile. So out of this futility, a person is always placed in fear. So that's the fourth one, bhaya. Bhaya means fear. So one is constantly in fear. Fear of losing whatever you worked hard to accumulate, or fear of dying, which is the death is just waiting. Is there anybody who can say they're not going to die? I went to uni, worked hard, studied hard, got a really fancy degree. Is the death going to excuse you? No. Are you going to get a good job, make a lot of money? Is the death going to excuse you? No. So there's fear. The death is one thing. The other thing is also the happiness what you derive from these objects is always risk of being taken away. The risk of being taken away. So a person is constantly in fear or in anxiety. So that's bha. So we discussed what? Pa, pa, bha, ba, and the last one is ma, the mrityu. In spite of all these things, one has to die. One has to give up. And once the person dies, whatever he has accumulated is of no use. You can't do anything with it. Like, what is it? The famous story of Alexander, I don't know how true is it. He conquered the known world. According to Europeans, whatever the known world was, he conquered when he was, 17, 18, 16? He started the conquest when he was 16. By his late teens, he's conquered the known world. But when he died, he couldn't take anything. So, there's various versions where he instructed that when his body is taken out, they should leave his palms outside, indicating that he's not taking anything with him. So, you can't really take anything with you. So, this is bhavarga, or a living entity who has chosen this material world. That's the bhavarga. So here, the questions asked by Devahuti gives you the apavarga, gives you the medicine or the opposite of pavarga, the opposite of hard work, the foam, the futile nature of the world, the fear and death. So the apavarga gives solution, addresses the pavarga. And the apavarga is explained in the same chapter, Canto 3, text 25. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti hrudakarna rasayana katha tajjoshanat apavarga atmani shraddha rati bhakti anukramasyati. So the apavarga is practiced by satam prasangat, people who have understood the pavarga, and they have understood that this material world is just going to give me anxiety and eventual death. And if I don't do anything about it, I'm going to end up doing the same thing again and again. So the satam, the intelligent people, satam sometimes is explained as intelligent. Even the first canto of text of Bhagavatam, they are second text of Bhagavatam, they are explained as intelligent people. So the intelligent people take up satam prasangam mama virya samvido. They take up the process of listening to the pastimes of the Lord, which are virya samvido, very expert, very wonderful pastimes. These pastimes are not ordinary pastimes. These pastimes are not the mundane pastimes of the people who we follow in Twitter and Facebook. What else we are following? Instagram. Whatever posted in those medias, these pastimes are not the pastimes of mundane people. These pastimes can enter the heart. Bhavanti hruda karna. Through, hruda means heart. Enter the heart through karna. Karna means ears. Through ears, these pastimes enter and give apavarga atmani, will situate one in a path which is free from pavarga, which will situate one in apavarga. And this apavarga is indicated by shraddha. So through this process of apavarga, one develops shraddha, and then rati, which is taste. By hearing, one develops faith on the process, on Krishna. And then by constant hearing, that shraddha, the faith, becomes solidified and becomes rati. Rati means it becomes tasteful. One actually starts enjoying these pastimes. And shraddha, rati, bhakti. And then it becomes bhakti, pure devotional service, where a person can exchange loving service to Krishna through the process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, so forth. So this is the process where one can protect himself from pavarga and situate himself in apavarga. So the questions asked by Devahuti is a trigger, nudging Kapiladev to speak this Mama Virya Samvido, this expert topics about himself, expert topics of himself. So the Lord appears Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He appears one of the main reasons he appears is to protect his devotees or give opportunity for his devotees so they can get encouraged and they can take up devotional service. For example, when you're, mundane example, anybody played any sports when they were young? Yeah, give me an example. Cricket. Okay, you played cricket when you were young. You're part of a team, and imagine some cricket star comes to your cricket match, and he talks to you, shakes your hand, appreciates you, you're doing good, gives you some tips. Do this, do that. And he gives you some tips. So a young player gets very encouraged. They become fixed in that sport, and they thrive to be like or follow the footsteps or be like the star who has appeared. Similarly, Krishna also does the same thing. He comes and presents himself and encourages, living entities who are interested in Apavarga. He appears in this world out of his kind mercy. And in addition, sometimes he appears, but people take him for granted. They don't want to appreciate. Like when Krishna appeared in his pastime, when he was playing the part of a Kshatriya, 90% of the people didn't appreciate Krishna. What to speak of appreciate? They had ill motives against him. They thought him as an ordinary cowhead man or boy. They even thought he's not even qualified to be a Kshatriya. He's just a cowhead boy. He's just somehow usurped our friend Kamsa's throne. So they don't want to even recognize him as a high class, Varnashram status. So 90% of them didn't even appreciate Krishna being God and appearing here for our own benefit. They all blasphemed him. So that's the nature of the living entities. But rarely, out of these 90% of the people, or rarely, somebody sees Krishna, appreciates him, and asks him intelligent questions. And then Krishna is happy because the purpose of him appearing has been fruitified because of these questions. And he, blesses not only the speaker, but, whoever gets an opportunity to hear those topics. Like in Gita Mahatmya, Krishna is considered, or Bhagavad Gita is considered a cow. Is considered as a cow. And Krishna playing a part, Krishna is played a part of a cowhead boy or a cowhead man, a gopa. So being a gopa, he milked this cow. The Upanishads are considered the cow. And he milked the Upanishads in the form of a cow for the Vatsa Arjuna. So he took a part of a cowhead boy and milked the Upanishads for the benefit of Arjuna. But Arjuna didn't drink, the calf doesn't drink all the milk. We all, those who grow up with cows have the fortune. And the calf just drinks a little bit of milk. And the rest, produces 2, 3 liters, 6 liters sometimes. Is there for the distribution, for the owners to drink. Similarly, Arjuna was not the only benefactor. When Krishna milked the Upanishad, the nectar of Bhagavad Gita manifested, the whole mankind can be benefited with that milk. Whoever takes shelter of the Bhagavad Gita gets benefited. Similarly, so Krishna was very happy, or Krishna kind of induced a situation where Arjuna actually asked those questions so that he can deliver Bhagavad Gita. So, and similarly here, Devahuti also is asking questions which are part of Apavarga, so which can help place the humanity in the upwards facing path. Apavarga. So naturally, Kapila Dev is happy. So within his heart, he is smiling because his mission is getting fulfilled by the intelligent questions asked by Devahuti. All right. We are 30 minutes into the class. I'll just speak some little more and then we can get into the glory of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we saw the Apavarga, Sat people who are interested, the Santas, the saintly people who are interested in the topics of Apavarga. So on the flip side, the topics of Bhavarga. These topics, just contaminate a person's consciousness. It just makes a person agitated. Especially nowadays, I guess living in 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years, 40 years ago, I think it was much more beneficial because there is no internet, no social media, no bombardment of some low-class person, what she or he does for breakfast or her sex life, or thankfully it was protected. When I grew up, there was when I was, I guess, 10 years old when the TV came. So the contamination was less, and naturally, in my days, the TV had one channel. There was one channel in the TV, and half of it was agriculture was discussed, which nobody was interested in. It was farm report that used to happen. I don't know how old are you? You remember in Tamil Nadu? Yeah. Krishi Darshan, here we go. Who wants to watch that? So, unless you're a farmer. So, one channel. So there was less agitation. So people naturally took up to, in the evenings, they go to the temple. There's always some katha going on, where they get together, they have Ram Katha or Krishna Leela pastimes going on. Somebody's reading Ramcharitmanas or Valmiki Ramayan. This used to be the time pass. This used to the leisure activity. I used to go to a place, where people used to have bhajans. They sing about the glories and discuss the pastimes. Naturally, people lived a very peaceful life. Now, following this Asat Grahat, following this Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, of all these really low-class people of any standard, for any intelligent person with any little civilization, civilized, the amount of garbage you get through these social medias is very, very, very low class. Absolutely lowest, what is it, bottom of the barrel or something like that? It's just the lowest of the lowest people, and they are grandizing themselves in these medias and showcasing their so-called successful life. Literally prostitutes. And common people, thankful to their mobile, they always have this with them, and they have access to this low-class culture which is constantly disturbing them and agitating them and putting them in more and more and more anxiety. More and more and more anxiety. And all those people, they post, it's all staged. It's all staged in a way that it looks great. And a guy eating a toast with an ordinary-looking wife next to him thinking, I'm missing out something here. There are people out there having a great time. Right. it unnecessarily disturbs a common individual. And it's not the guy, the women also. They see all these celebrities all dressed up, makeup and this and that, and they're thinking, oh, I'm not looking as good as I want to look. Look at these examples. So they're constantly bombarded with this, and they're getting dragged and dragged and dragged into this lowest culture of civilization. Like when I came to this country, it's summer season we are living in. The size of the clothes kept reducing in last 22 years. What the women wear. Even in the 22 years of me being here, the material, the amount of material to make a particular piece of garment has reduced considerably. Because it just dragged. The size of the garment. Every time you see, there's some celebrity wearing a smaller, even smaller piece of cloth. Then naturally people want to follow them. This is asat sanga, dragged to animal form of life. Within, behaving like animals, worse than animals, in human form of life. So that's the opposite of asat sanga, or topics. And these topics are nothing new. They're what Prahlad Maharaj says, punacharvita charvananam. It's the same thing. It's the same mundane activities. People post their food, Instagram of food, how they cook their food. The food has been cooked for millions of years, and people have been living for millions of years. There's nothing new to see this food and get excited to cook now. It's the same thing. It's been around. So it's just the same, they're just repeating, reselling the same thing. So it's punacharvita charvananam. On the other hand, the upper varga, the topics of Krishna, is ever fresh. The more you want to hear, this is something more you learn. There's something more interesting. So devotees read Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita again and again. It's not like I've read once, I've done it, tick. No, it's so nice. You want to read it again and again and again. So it's ever refreshing to the soul, because these topics are present on the spiritual platform. And we living entities are spiritual entities. So for the spiritual entities to receive pleasure is to enjoy topics which are also on the same nature, on the spiritual nature. So, Krishna is eternal, the jiva is eternal, the topics about Krishna is eternal. So the soul is interested or happy by listening to these eternal topics. The asat sanga topics, even though it might look entertaining, is just very temporary entertainment, because it relates to the body. The senses get used to it, or get bored after some time. You buy a nice car, and it's good for a week or two. After that, you lose interest. First week you're cleaning every day. You buy a kid, a toy, they're looking after it nicely. The first week, second week. After that, they're not interested. Same thing. So the asat topics doesn't have pleasure ongoing. It doesn't give ongoing pleasure. But sat topics, the apavarga atmani, is ever increasing. All right, I will stop here, and we can glorify Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Right. So, the pranam mantra of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Namo. You guys want to repeat, or should I just chant? Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaham Madhuryojjala Prematya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktidam Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatharine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. Okay, let's read the translation of his pranam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daita Dasa. So this is another name of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which means who is favored by Srimati Radharani and who is the ocean of transcendental mercy and the deliverer of signs of Krishna. So, Madhuryojjala Premadya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the Madhuryojjala Premadya, Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida, Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti, Vigrahaya Namostute. Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti. So, Vigrahaya. So, he is the personification, Vigraha, personification of Shri Gaura's mercy, or the potency of Gaura's mercy, who deliver devotional service which is enriched with Madhuryojjala Premadya, conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, coming exactly in the line of Shri Rupanuga and Bhaktida. So whatever the Rupa Goswami has set up, it's coming exactly in that footsteps, or the revelations are exactly in line with what Rupa Goswami has taught. Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatharine. So he is the personified teaching of Lord Chaitanya, Gauravani. Whatever Mahaprabhu spoke, he is the personified teaching. Shri Murtaye. Shri Murtaye means personification. And Dinatharine. Dinatharine means he is the deliverer of the fallen souls. Rupanuga Viruddhapa. So he is very strong. He is called the Lion Guru. He is very strong in cutting any philosophical understanding which is not in line with Rupa Goswami. If it is not in line with Rupa Goswami, it's just a misleading philosophy. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his preaching, his preaching, he never tolerated any slight deviation, from the teaching of Rupa Goswami. So it is very important that nowadays, on the name of bridge preaching, we want to start opening yoga schools and yoga communities. According to the mood of Bhakti Siddhanta, not just yoga is just one other thing. The other thing is like, you start accommodating veganism and this and that. And all these isms, he never tolerated it. Whatever Rupa Goswami spoke, that's it. So he was very strong. It's not only whatever Rupa Goswami spoke, Bhaktisiddhanta followed, but he also defeated, argued against, cut them through, and maintained a very strict standard of what Rupa Goswami taught. So, on his birth occasion, followers of Bhaktisiddhanta, we should also not compromise to just increase following for labha, prana, and what is it? Pratishta. What is it? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, labha, something, and pratishta. Yeah, so I can't remember the middle one. So for the sake of, making devotees, so we should not compromise the teaching of Rupa Goswami. So that was the mood of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So there's a poetry. It's a long one. I won't read the whole poetry. I'll just read few verses as time accommodates, maybe for another 15 minutes. This song was written by a devotee by the name Govinda Gopal Mahant from Shillett. Anybody know Shillett? In Bangladesh? Used to be called Sri Hata. Used to be called Sri Hata. And now it's called Shillett. It's in north of Dhaka. A lot of spiritual great personalities appeared in Shillett. So there's a Mahant, or there's a devotee, disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta, composed a poem in 1927 and mailed it to Sri Chaitanya Math. And this poem was read to Bhaktisiddhanta. And Bhaktisiddhanta really liked the poem. And he suggested that, they should sing this song to glorify him. The wonderful thing is, in those days, in the late 1920s, the Gaudiya Math hasn't spread all over Bengal. It was only spreading westwards, in Calcutta, Puri, Kashi, Varanasi, Allahabad, Chennai, Madras. Have you been to Madras, Gaudiya Math? Yeah. My grandparents used to go, apparently. So apparently nice. So the Gaudiya Math and the preaching was happening more on the west, not much on the eastern side. So technically, Bhaktisiddhanta wasn't that popular, couldn't be that popular because there was no preachers out there, and we don't live in the world of internet or mass media. So for the word to get to Shillett, but here there's this personality who captured really good poem, captured the mood and the nature of Bhaktisiddhanta. But the postal system always worked, even in those days. And now it's kind of got corrupted, but in the olden days, the postal system was protected. It always worked. You send a letter and some or other get to you, never get lost. But now it's different. Anyway, we will. This poem is a bit hard, and I'm not good in singing, so I'll just read and translate. There's not even translation for this poem, so I'll just make shift with my little-known Bengali. Jayare Jayare Jai Paramahamsa Mahashai Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Jaya Parama Karunamoy Dina Hina Agatire Gati. So, all glories, all glories, all glories, or victory, victory to Paramahamsa Mahashaya. Paramahamsa means it's like a great, like a swan who is not interested in mundane topics. Paramahamsa Mahashaya. Mahashaya is a word used to refer to a great personality. In Bengal, they used to call teachers also Mahashaya sometimes. The Gurukul kids, when I was teaching in Gurukul, they won't call Mahashaya. They were all playing word tricks. They will call Moshai. Moshai means a mosquito. So they'll call it Moshai. Rascals. Anyways, so yeah, sometimes teacher is also referred as a Mahashaya. Or generally, it's a great personality. Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. The name of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Thakur refers to somebody who is very close, or Sakshad Haridvena. Because he's very close to the Lord, he's almost as good as Lord. So he's called Thakur. Jaya Parama Karunamai Dina Hina Agatire Gati. So he is Parama Karunamoy. He is supremely merciful. He is supremely merciful for Dina and Hina, for the very fallen and wretched souls, who Agatira Gati. Agatira Gati. So it's similar verse to the second verse, or the first verse of, the second verse of the last stanza of Samsara prayer. What is that? Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado, yasya prasada na gati. Now without your mercy, I have no gati, na gati. Similarly, same word, dina hina, for people like me, no gati. So he is the only gati. So people, agatir, gati. He is the shelter for people who are fallen and wretched. Nilachala Haya Uday Shri Gauramanda Ashi Prema Bhakti Prakashi Jivera Nashile Bhava Bhai. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he appeared. Where did he appear? He appeared in Nilachal, or the other name of Nilachal is Jagannath Puri. He appeared in Nilachal. And what did he do? He didn't stay in Nilachal. He went to Gauramandal. Gauramandal generally means Bengal. So he took birth in Nilachal and he went to Gauramandal, Gauramandale Ashi. He came to Gauramandal, and what did he do? He Prema Bhakti Prakashi. Prakashi means he turned the light on. Something like that. Yeah. He Prema Bhakti, he distributed the rays of Prema Bhakti in Bengal. Prema Bhakti is pure devotion to Krishna. And by doing that, Jivera Nashila Bhava Bhai. So, by doing that, he has destroyed Jivera, the living entities, the spirit souls, Bhava Bhai, the fear of this ocean of material suffering. Samsara Dhava Nanalita Loka. In the same mood, he has destroyed the fear of the ocean of material life. Tumara Mahima Gai Hina Sadhya Mora Nai Tava Pari Yadi Deho Shakti Vishwahita Avirata Acharya Prachara Rata Vishuddha Shri Rupanuga Bhakti. So Tamara Mahima, without your mercy, Guy, without receiving the mercy, your unconditional mercy, Hina Sadhya Moranai, to glorify you is impossible. To glorify Bhaktisiddhanta without his mercy is impossible. Unless you give me your mercy, Deho Shakti, Tave Pari Yadi Deho Shakti, unless you give your blessings or your potency, I can't glorify. Being a hina, I can't glorify any of your qualities. Vishwahite avirata achara prachara rata. For the Vishwahita, Vishwa means for the mankind, for the civilization, whatever, the world, Vishwa. For the benefit, hita. Hita means benefit. And the hita word is used not like when you feed someone. That's not the hita. The hita means, the hita referred here is the ultimate benefit. Ultimate benefit. If you feed somebody, they're just happy for a little bit. But the Vishwahita, the benefit here, what he has provided is avirata, is always. It's not a temporary hita. Always. Achara prachara, by his own achar, by his own practice, and also by his own preaching. Rata. So Bhaktisiddhanta, he had a very strict life. He didn't compromise anywhere. His personal habits were pristine. Absolutely. You can't even find fault. There's no, even if you try. You're always trying to find fault. Even if you try to find fault, he led a pure, exemplary life when he was young child, as a brahmachari, when he took sannyas, he led an exemplary life. And by leading this exemplary life, and also by preaching, he started the preaching movement again. Prachara, by achara and prachara, so he did Vishwa Hita. He saved or gave ultimate benefit to the mankind through Vishuddha Sri Rupanuga Bhakti. So what he preached, he didn't preach any mundane philosophy like his contemporaries like Swami Vivekananda or Ramakrishna. Nothing like that. He preached, what did he preach? Vishuddha. Shuddha means pure. Vishuddha means very pure or very, very, very pure. Sri Rupanuga Bhakti. The Bhakti path taught by Rupa Goswami. So he preached Vishuddha Bhakti. Shipad Ketari Dhama Takurashi Narotama Tomate Tanhara Guna Deki Shastrera Siddhanta Sarashuni Lage Chamatkar Puta Kika Dite Nara Pankhi. So here, Govinda Gopal Mahant could recognize the qualities of Bhaktisiddhanta to be very similar to Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Narottam Das Thakur appeared in Shripad Kheturi Gram. And Sri Narottam Das Thakur was a very famous personality or devotional personality in Gauramandal or in Bengal. His poems are sung by everyone. The household name Narottam Das Thakur was. His poetry is very simple, written in Gramya Bhasha, not in Sadhu Bhasha, not in a